Okay. All right. Well, hello to all of you who have joined us today. I'm so thankful that you are here. And hello to everyone who might be watching the replay later on. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jessica Korff, and I own Fleur Photography, and we're focusing mainly on headshots and branding. And we also recently launched Women in Business magazine, Success REfashiond, where the goal really is about supporting women in business, the growth and visibility, and really about supporting local. So in our current situation, however, the layout of how business is being run is definitely changed right now. And they're saying forever, right? It's going to change forever. So we'll see what that looks like. But in order to continue serving right now, I've decided to begin interviewing other local businesses who are taking this time and they're diving in. They're getting creative, they're making an impact, or they have expertise that can help guide the rest of us through these uncertain times. Like Laura here, who is going to help guide us through dealing with some stress and anxiety so that we can get through our day. So today I have with me Laura, and she is the owner of Skin Narrative. Thank you for meeting with us today, Laura. Will you please tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited about doing this and just kind of getting some of this information about facial reflexology, especially kind of out there. But just to introduce myself, my name is Laura Luzinski, and I am the owner of a small skincare studio here in Tucson that's called Skin Narrative. We have been open for just about a year and a half. But I've been an esthetician for 10 years. I got my aesthetics license in 2010, and then my massage license in 2013. My focus right now is skincare, and I specialize in holistic skincare practices and treatments. I don't do any full body massage anymore, but that has really transferred, that knowledge and education really transfers into what I do currently. So I became an esthetician because I had bad skin. That's like kind of the beginning story for most estheticians, I feel like. I struggled with acne all through my teens and early 20s. And it was when I was diagnosed with celiac disease and then went on a gluten-free diet that I really saw my skin clear up. And so that always has really been like a driving factor, because I made the connection between what's going on internally and what's showing up on our surface, our external skin. So I now get to treat all these amazing skincare conditions that come in to see me. I have a lot of acne clients, people with rosacea or redness, pigmentation. And so my focus is how we can treat that holistically by looking at all of the things that are going on in the body and how we can affect them either through what we're doing topically or kind of coaching you through some lifestyle changes that can help to change what's happening on your skin, because everything that's showing up is like a message from the inside of where there may be imbalance or things that could be going on. So that's why I do what I do. I love it. I love skincare. I could talk about it for days and days and days.
What about your personal life? Tell us a little bit more about your personal life, because I know you mentioned that you might have a little guy run behind you at some point.
Yes,
so tell us more.
You may see my little guy running it out of here. I have a son. He is 7. He's in 1st grade. So this has been, obviously like a huge adjustment just being at home all the time, and it's really truly been like I just keep saying this, and maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but I really have loved being able to be at home with him every single day, because we don't get that opportunity. They're with us for such a short amount of time, and then he's going to grow up and go off to do his own thing someday. So I'm trying to soak this up as much as possible. But my son is 7. My husband and I have been married for 8 years. We're both native Tucsonans. So yeah.
Fantastic. I didn't know you were a native Tucsonan. I feel like I don't meet too many of them anymore.
Born and raised on the east side.
So, and that's where you've stayed then too, right?
Always.
Great. So, so tell me now, what's your situation right now? Obviously, you're very hands-on service. So how has the pandemic actually affected your business?
Yeah, so it's obviously we can't do any services right now. When the stay-at-home order went into effect, we had to stop doing services, and that's been really difficult because that's where my income comes from, is being able to touch your face, right, on a regular basis. And when I can't do that, I can't make money that way. So it's really forced me, and I feel like I've had this great opportunity to re-examine what we're doing. And thankfully, with facial reflexology work, while I can teach you and I can do these services to you, like I'm performing the service to you, I can also teach you how to do this at home. And so that's really been a great, like, kind of tide over right now, is I can do virtual sessions. I had already started, but this forced me to put it out there faster, working on an online like workshop course for my clients that has a bunch of video content, and it includes tools and stuff like that for their home care. And it's using gua sha tools and facial reflexology tools at home to give yourself a facelift, which is like the best work ever. So who doesn't want to give yourself a facelift at home and not have to invest thousands and thousands of dollars in surgery and stuff like that? My goal is always, to be as non-invasive as possible. So it's really forced me to kind of look at things in a new perspective and get creative and really start putting a lot of video content out there, which was something, like you said, being in front of the camera is hard sometimes, and it really forces you to get outside of your comfort zone. And so that really has been a big change for me too, because I'm so used to being behind the scenes, and now I've had to be front and center for the business. And so that's been kind of a fun and nerve-wracking thing to do. So we've been, I updated our website during all of this. I got this new course going online. We have now an online retail store where we can sell the product that we use and recommend for our clients online, so we can ship directly to them, which obviously I feel like so much is changing in how all these, every business is operating. Everything's going to be going even more digital and online and stuff like that. So it's been a good transition, and it's definitely made me get really creative, which I like. So yeah.
Awesome. I know I've been seeing your videos. If you guys don't follow her on Instagram, she's been putting them up there, and that's when I was like, you know what? I need to have you come on here and help the rest of us out. Okay, so tell us a little bit, what do you have for us today? I know that you're bringing on this technique, so why don't you take the floor and walk us through what we need to know.
So facial reflexology, I'm sure most of you have probably heard of reflexology in general, but we always think of either like the hands or the feet. Some people know about reflexology of the ears. I had been interested in this work for quite a while, and then recently had the opportunity to really dive into it and become certified. And it's just a really phenomenal way of prompting and inducing a deep state of healing inside of the body. Because like I said, everything that's showing up on the face is a direct message from inside the body of where there may be some sort of imbalance or some blockage energetically, which seems a little out there, right? But we can get on board with this. So this is more of like a traditional Chinese medicine. That's where it's really rooted. So when we're doing facial reflexology, we're looking at either specific points that are on the face or a zone that corresponds to either an organ system or like an emotional imbalance that may be going on. And we're sending a message through the nervous system to those areas of the body. And we're working with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is like our rest and digest system. A lot of us are in this chronic state of stress all the time, because we're not really meant to be like on the go, on our phones, on social media all the time. And so our cortisol levels can just be raised systemically long term, which is really bad for us. So we can work with do this sort of work to kind of calm the body down systemically. And that'll help to, or can help to, like, balance your overall well-being. We can work on things like dark circles or puffiness around the eye can have to do with like an imbalance in the kidneys, right? Or we can start to make these connections if you've got breakouts around the chin or the mouth, can have to do with the digestive system or the like hormones, stuff like that. So we can see, depending on where each individual thing that we're seeing on the skin, fine lines and wrinkles, pigmentation, if you've got like amelia showing up or any sort of abnormality on the skin, we can focus on that and kind of help to heal it. So that being said, we can use facial reflexology, right, to improve the health of the skin, but we can also help to improve our overall well-being as well. And right now, during all of this, everybody seems to be very, very anxious, not knowing what's coming next. We kind of don't know, we can't plan things out very well, and that can be very anxiety producing for a lot of us. Me, I like to plan my life out. So the anxiety relief protocol has been very popular recently with all of my clients, and when I've been working one-on-one on virtual consultations like this has been one of the things that we've really been going over a lot. So I'm going to show it to you, and I'll actually post a picture in the event information of the diagram of these points so you can save it and refer back to it. But I'm going to use my facial reflexology tool here, and it's got like a little kind of rounded pointy end. And so you probably don't have this. That's okay. You can use your fingers, or if you have, like, here's a makeup brush, you can use this end of the makeup brush. You can use like a pin and use the rounded end. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on the forehead, and we're going to start at point 103, which is right in the center of the forehead. And this point corresponds to the mind. And so we're going to center in on that point, and we're going to do little tiny circles around it. About 10 to 20 little circles, and you can go both ways. And on a pressure scale of, let's say, like 1 to 10, I'm using a pressure of about a 6 or a 7. And so when I'm doing, like, if I was going to do a balancing routine all over the face, I'd be looking for little tiny spots where there may be little bumps or any areas that may feel kind of stuck or don't move as well. And that's how we know to work on those areas. But we can go through, like this protocol, we're just going to focus on these specific points. Then we're going to go to point 106, which is the third eye. And so the point 103 that we did just previous to this helps to really ground your mind down into your body and connect you to your body. And sometimes when we're in a state of anxiety, right, we can just be so in our head overthinking stuff. So point 103 and 106 help to ground us down. Then we're going to go to point 124, which is like right in the center of the forehead above the curve of the eyebrow. And so this point has a really deep relaxing effect. This is actually associated with the spleen. And then we're going to do point 124 on the other side. And so you may feel some little bumpy spots in these areas. And you just want to do about 10 or 20 little circles. You can go but one way or you can go both ways. Then we're going to do point 34, which is right above the front of the eyebrow. And so point 34 and point 124 that we just did together work together to have a really deep relaxation effect on the body. So if you're having a really hard time sleeping, I always recommend like working this point, and you can work back and forth over it and then working right over the eyebrow. That'll really help to help you fall asleep. If you have kids and they won't go to sleep, do this to them, but use your fingers. It'll knock them right out. Promise, I've tried it. So then we'll do point 34 on the other eye. And we're gonna do point 20, which is right here on the center, like right at the corner of the eye, right on the nose. And so this is a point for the thyroid. The thyroid is connected to the water element in traditional Chinese medicine when we have our 5 elements. The water element, the main organ system of the water element is the kidneys, but the thyroid can become kind of out of balance as well with that element when it's out of balance. And the water element is really rooted in fear as well. So that can be one thing that we talk about when we do like an online in-person consultation, is we kind of go through the different elements that may be out of balance for you and how we can work those. So we're going to do point 20 on the other eye. And if you have any thyroid issues, you may notice that this point is really bumpy. Then we're going to do point 189, which is right in the center of the nose. And this point is associated with the diaphragm. And so this is going to help to induce or help to like prompt you to really take a nice deep breath. And obviously when we are anxious or worried, sometimes we're not really fully breathing in, and that can really help to also like calm you down. Just take a nice deep breath. So this point can be really beneficial for that. And we're going to do point 60, which is out here at the corner of the eye. Point 60 is associated with the pericardium, or the area around the heart. So this point really helps to open your heart up energetically when we talk about that emotion. This also has a natural oxytocin effect, which is that like feel good love hormone. So that can help you kind of feel better, get out of that like overthinking pattern that's going on. So we're going to do point 60 on the other side. And we're going to do point 37, which is on your left side, right in line with the nostril and right underneath the eye. And point 37 has to do with the spleen. This is the spleen point. This can also be a great point to help to boost your immunity as well, because the spleen is associated with the lymphatic system. And our lymph system is really responsible for a lot of our immunity. Then we're going to do point 63, which is right in the middle of between your upper lip and your nose. And this is a hormone balancing point. And then I like to go, we're going to go down in front of the ear and then up behind. Just like 5 or 10 times on each side. We have a few points in front of the ear that are for the thyroid and the throat. There's also a balancing point 0 here. But going around the ears really helps to set this protocol in. So we can go around the other ear. You may have to hold your hair back. And that's all for this protocol. I always recommend doing this if you're really feeling anxious or you deal with anxiety on a regular basis. I would recommend doing this daily. There's no harm in doing it daily. It's going to help to kind of relieve some of that anxiety that's going on. But if you're also experiencing or you're feeling really anxious in a moment, you can do this. And if you're just driving or you're not like at home, you don't have access to any of these tools, you can always use your fingers or you could use your knuckles. Um, it, it's so powerful what happens when you do this on a regular basis. So who has questions? Raise your hand.
Who's ready for a nap?
Right? Maybe you might be like so relaxed to just go veg out, take a nap. That's amazing.
I think Lindsay needs to work on some of the technique. You know, I didn't see her quite following it as well. Just kidding, Lindsay.
And you can also, so it's really amazing what happens when you do this just to yourself as your self-care. I think one thing that I really try to work on, and I preach this a lot with my clients, is like setting our intention, right? Like, and I think that goes for all of our routines or any self-care that we're doing. I think the intention behind it has a lot of power. So when we're sitting down and we're intentionally doing this work, we know we're kind of making this connection between our body and our mind, all these things that are going on, that can help to amplify the effects. But you could also, if you have somebody in your house who is old enough to do this, learn how to do this, you could teach them how to do this to you, and it helps to amplify the effects even more. When you are able to just lay down and relax and have somebody else touch these points on you, it really helps to just increase the magnitude of what's happening internally. So it's amazing.
I think you answered the question. I was just going to say, is this something you would do at the start of the day, at the end of the day? You know, does it help to be like isolated from other things, or, you know, how does that work? I mean, if I'm riding the bus, you know, can I be doing this to myself? How effective is that versus being at home, you know?
I mean, I think anytime you can do it is beneficial. I do it in my car when I'm driving. I'll go through and do the balancing routine, or I'll like work jaw tension. I've been finding that I do my gua sha routine in the morning, and I like that for in the morning. And this is the gua sha tool that's included in like the workshop that I teach online. And when we do gua sha on the face and the neck, we're working out connective tissue tension that's in the connective tissue and helping to increase the lymphatic flow. And so this I always recommend doing in the mornings. You can do the facial reflexology right after that, but I always find that I do the facial reflexology at night when we're like sitting on the couch watching TV, kind of winding down for the day. That seems to work well for me, but that's not true for everybody, right? Like you have to find a time that it fits well into your schedule. So whatever that looks like for you, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, who knows? You know, you're awake in the middle of the night.
You mentioned jaw tension. Now I am a person who I clench in my sleep, so I wake up with it. Like, so what do you do with those? What's those points?
Take your tool, right? And you can, whatever tool you're using, and you can really just get in there. The masseter muscle, which is our like chewing muscle, gets so tense and it's very thick. So you can really get in there and like work that muscle, and you can just break up that connective tissue. And so you can do that with the facial reflexology. But then when I teach gua sha, we're using a tool, and you can really like break up the connective tissue that's in that muscle, right? Like really get a release in there. So, and that'll actually help. Tension in this muscle here is directly related to puffiness around the eyes. So when we can release the tension that's here, all of this lymph fluid is able to drain much better. So that's like there's no topical thing that you can use that's going to decrease puffiness or dark circles the way that this sort of work will do. So,
wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive. I noticed that I could feel it for sure as I was doing it with you. I was like, oh, you can feel it almost begin to release.
Yeah.
When I did on I noticed it in my ear more than anywhere else too. So I must be holding a lot of
tension around your ears. Yeah. And especially if you have jaw issues, right? Because we've got this muscle right here, the masseter, and then we have the temporalis muscle here, and those are both like connected to this joint. So we can get tension up here as well. That's going to affect how the jaw functions. So
that's great news. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for her right now or about the technique?
Laura, I have a question for you. Yeah. The order in which you did it, is that, I mean, I know you can work on certain points, but is there something like as far as our energy flow that go like with the actual order that you taught us to do it in?
You know, and when we're working these sort of like protocols that we already have set up for working like anxiety and stuff like that, I always find it's best to just work from top to bottom. And not really necessarily for any like energy specific thing, but it helps to just kind of keep you on track, right?
Okay.
Like I could be working these points and move on to this one and forget to do this up here, you know. So I feel like it's just best in this sort of thing to work top to bottom. So with some of the protocols, it is you want to work like a specific point before you move on to something else, right? Because you're balancing that energy. But with this one specifically, like it's just working that like top to bottom sort of thing. When we're doing gua sha, the other technique that I teach, we're working from neck up because we want to release all of this so that our lymph fluid has a place to flow, right? Like it all filters and flows down into like our subclavicular lymph area. And if we don't release this stuff has nowhere to go. So that's the rhyme and reason behind that. But with facial reflexology, it's really just, you know, I feel like it's best to work like top down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to put a little plug in there for Miss Laura. If you guys have not gone to see her, she is absolutely amazing. So throw that out there. She's got like $1 million walking out of her place.
I'm also like a really big science nerd, so I'll probably talk your ear off if you come to see me about the science behind everything the whole time, but most of my clients like that. So.
I think that's a great question, and her space is gorgeous too. So it's just, I feel like you walk in and it's the energy from the moment you walk in, the energy feels really good. So to the moment you walk out, like Lindsay said.
Agreed.
You guys are so kind. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for her or the techniques?
And if you guys think of a question, you know, sometimes it's hard when you're in the moment of talking about something, things don't click right away, or you think of something later while you're working on it. Feel free to just comment on the posts that are already in the event, and I'll answer questions for you. So, and I will post this picture of the point protocol when we are done with our call so that you have that available to you.
Great. So yes, and you'll give me all the information. I'll also have it in the post when I repost this tomorrow and make sure that everybody has access to all of that. Okay, then I'll move on to a few of my questions. So since we're talking about anxiety and there is so much kind of fear and anxiety happening in the world right now, how do you overcome fear and anxiety? What is your best tip to deal with that when something
Yeah, I mean, I am very open about talking about this, but I have really struggled throughout like most of my life with depression and anxiety. So this work right now seems very pertinent to me, and so I've been using this a lot. But in the past, I feel like the one thing that I've always done that helps me to kind of get through anxiety that I'm experiencing is writing down the things that are causing me anxiety and really looking at them and thinking like, okay, is this something that I can truly control, or is this completely out of my control, right? Like, I feel like the control issue is hard for a lot of us when we want things to go a certain way. And so learning how to recognize the things that I have actual control over versus the things that I absolutely cannot control the outcome, right? Like, I can't control what other people think about me. Those are things that I have no control over, how people perceive me or what, you know, those sort of things that are happening. So I like to make lists about what's going on, or if I know that I have like big deadlines to meet, I like to break things down into smaller chunks because it feels more easy to get those things done. And then you also feel like, oh wow, I did something today.
I think that's a great point. And I think when you break it down into smaller steps, it can feel more, it feels easier to do. It's less overwhelming when it's a small task that you can do, instead of like, there's this big task that has all these little tasks in them, and I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah.
So then, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge, and I think as a business owner too, you understand that. And I think other people who may own a business, or even when you're working for other people, it's that productivity, right? Like, we always feel like we have to be doing. And so when we can break those things down into smaller goals, it helps in a lot of ways to actually get things done. So we're not just sitting there scrolling Facebook all day long.
I think that's a great segue into my next question then. What motivates you then to take action instead of just sit back and dream about something?
You know, I think that being able to actually put information out there, it feels, I think a lot of times for some of us, we get caught in that like comparison cycle, right? We're comparing ourselves to everything else that we're seeing on social media. And so I think really just being authentic in the information that I'm putting out there, it drives me to continue to put it out there because I receive good feedback normally about stuff. So, and not that the feedback drives me, but just being able to accomplish something and finish it, put it all the way through and put it out there feels good to me on my goal making lists and stuff. When I can check my little boxes off my list, that feels good to me. So I'm a list maker.
As am I, and I think so many people. So then with that in mind, so when you're sitting down to make your list or to plan your day out, what do you always, no matter what goes first when you prioritize your time each day?
I have recently learned that I have to make time for myself first and foremost every single day, whether that is I go for a walk first thing in the morning. I wasn't always a morning person, but I have become recently in the last few years. I like to get up and focus on myself. And that may seem selfish to some people, but I think that that's really an important thing. Whether that's, like I said, going for a walk, sitting down and like listening to a podcast, or just listening to some music in the morning while I make my coffee and drink my coffee. Those things I have to kind of do first thing in the morning just to get my mind processing and working through stuff. And then I find that in those moments is when I'm like most creative. Yep, our coffee. That's when I feel like recently, like my creativity really starts going, and I can start thinking about what sort of content I'm either going to video that day for either facial reflexology or other stuff that I'm putting on my social media for my business, because that's a big part of my life is doing all this stuff for my business. So those are the moments that I feel most creative. And then when I decide then in those moments, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, or this is what I'm going to focus on. I want to share about anxiety, or I want to share about acne or pigmentation or those sorts of things. And then I break that down then into some smaller things. Like, what am I going to write about? what am I going to video, those sorts of things. And then I can like action plan those out. So
I think that taking time for ourselves is so important, and it's so easy for us to feel, especially as women. I'm sure sometimes you feel like this too, Manny, but I feel like in women it's even heavier, that if you do that, suddenly you feel guilty. Like
yeah.
you're not supposed to have time. Everyone else has to go first. Like you have to take care of everyone else.
And especially as a mom too, I think we
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of we get caught in our own mom guilt about, oh, I'm not doing enough of this or that. Like I have to do these things before I can take care of myself. And I don't think that that's true. Like we have to change that narrative, right? Of, I can't pour from an empty cup. So I have to fill my cup first, and then I'm able to give the best of myself to everybody else that needs me.
Right, right.
But I think that's just from any perspective of somebody who is the, what's the word I'm looking for? The one who provides, the provider, right? And
Right.
making sure everything's taken care of, and you do forget about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you say things like time for myself, suddenly you have to come on and be like, that sounds selfish. Because it's how we're conditioned, and it's so not. It's so important. So I just wanted to touch on that bit really quick because I think you made an excellent point. Okay. So you've been really good at, I feel like, as I've watched you, you've been fantastic at sort of, I don't want to, I guess, pivoting all along the way. Like I watch you, you're really great at looking at what's happening. How do I adjust? How do I adjust? So, and you continue to do that so well. So can you share an action step for others in business that they can do right now that'll help them get them closer to their goals, even in the world we're in right now?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, because I feel like, you know, I think we have these moments where I feel like what I'm doing is not working, right? And I'm like, like what, this is not going well. But then I hear that feedback from other people too, like, oh, you're doing a great job, like I'm seeing what you're doing and blah, blah, blah. And it's inspiring me. So I feel like being able to take a step back too and re-examining why I feel like what I'm doing is not working is huge. But all along since I started my business, I have always told myself and other people that I'll try anything once, right? When it comes to marketing, advertising, business stuff. And if it works, I'll keep doing it. And if it doesn't, after however long, you know, I give it some sort of time frame. If it's not working and I'm wasting my either financial resources on it or my time resources on it, then I just let it go. And I don't feel bad about it, right? Because sometimes we invest so much in a specific thing or an idea or a treatment or a concept that we want to put out there, and it just falls flat. And that's okay. And then you just have to let it go and move on to the next thing that's working. And so I feel like the biggest thing is like disconnecting I would say maybe this isn't an action plan, but my biggest thing is being able to disconnect from the outcome. And I think that's hard because we put ourselves out there so much that we want things to be perceived well and taken well and, you know, take off and make us a lot of money or whatever it is. But I feel like I can only account for the work that I put into it. And then when I put out there, I'm going to let go of the outcome. And if it works, then I'm going to keep doing that sort of same thing. I'm going to make similar content to that or whatever it is that I'm doing that's working. But if it doesn't, then I'm going to stop doing it. And I'm not going to waste my time on it. So that's been like the biggest thing for me, and being able to like pivot and change and kind of adapt to the situations that are happening, especially right now. I feel like that's so, I feel like even in the first couple weeks, like people are doing things differently than they were 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I feel like being able to just adapt and think, okay, what have I done today? What did I do in this week that people liked? And what did they respond well to? What did they comment on? And kind of figuring out those content keys, and then just keep going with that and change as it changes, because it's ever evolving always, right? Like everything's always changing and evolving. So
Yeah, I have to say, like, I hear you saying jump in, don't be afraid to, but set boundaries around it, right? And I'm like, okay, I can get with that. And then the idea of disconnecting from the outcome gave me a little bit of like anxiety. I'm like, I need to get my no. But it's a great point, and I think that it makes a great point that it's okay to try it, and it's okay to, if it fails, to let it go. So I
Right.
really appreciate that.
We were just having a conversation with my son this morning about uh, failure and how it's okay, right? Like, I feel like people say, like, or you've been told, like, oh, fail, 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 and then you'll be successful. But I feel like even in your success, people still fail, right? Like, we all have small failures every single day, and that's okay. Like, we have to just keep going. So we were talking about that this morning, how it's okay to fail. You just have to keep moving forward and moving through your failures.
Yeah, that's a great point. Does anybody have any questions for her so far? Or anything to add? I think that that's so important. So much easier said than done, I should
Yeah.
say, to accept failure as just a piece of the, piece of the success.
It's hard because I think we get so caught up in tying a lot of our worth to what we're doing, especially in our society, right? Like, I'm worthy because I am this or this or that, and that's not true, right? We are worthy just inherently being a human being. So I feel like kind of trying to disconnect your worth from the outcome is a huge piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I attended the Landmark Forum a few months ago. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but
Yeah.
they do make a great comment where they said, typically what we do is that our societal rules, if you will, is that if you do something, then I'm going to mess it all up. There's like three pieces, but it's like, if you do something, then you'll be something, right? So, and they talk about how you have to flip that to, and then be something, and then you start with your outcome and who you want to be first, and then you worry about the doing. But the doing does not equal who you are.
Yeah.
I hope that totally made sense, because I just jumped all around that and I forgot the middle step there. But yeah, I think that changing the narrative, that's what skin narrative does.
Yeah. You can change the story of your skin. That's how it all started.
Okay, so I recently started adding this question, and I love it. Tell me something good. What good has come out of this shutdown for you?
Honestly, I could make you a long list, I feel like, which may be, like I said, the unpopular opinion. I see people posting constantly about, how horrible this is and whatever. I feel like being able to take the time every single day to make intentional choices about how I'm going to spend my day has been just the biggest gift. And I was reading something this morning. There's I think it's a Chinese saying that says, boredom is good luck. And that spoke to me like so deep, because I feel like it makes sense that when we're bored, we have the choice to make about what we're going to do, right? We're not being forced to do something that, is not aligned with who we are, what we are doing. So the biggest thing that's come out of this for me is being able to spend the time daily doing the things that I want to do and that fill me with joy, whether that's laying on the couch and watching Netflix and eating a tub of ice cream all day, or actually doing the work that I want to be doing and focusing on the things that I want to focus on and grow in my business or in my own personal life. This is to me, it's been a blessing, and I realize that I may be coming from like a total point of privilege on that my situation may be a little bit different than other people, where I am lucky enough to, even though I don't have my regular income coming in, I have a husband and who is working. He's an essential worker, but we have food and we have a place to live and, you know, all these things that are making it safe for me, but that are giving me the time to do those things. So I realize that that may be privileged, but it has been a blessing in those ways to be able to sit down and focus on the things that I love to do and want to do. So I hope that everybody feels that.
Yes, thank you. I feel like I'm hearing that often, that the time with family is actually such a big positive for people.
Huge.
So I almost feel like I hear it so much that the talk on social media about it being like I'm around my kids too much is really just talk.
Just for talk, yeah.
Secretly, everyone loves it. Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to touch on or add?
No, I mean, if you, like I said, if you guys have questions or, you know, you think of something later, feel free to comment on the post that Jessica's going to make. Send me a message, find me on social media. I'm trying to put, you know, video content up as much as I can about things that I feel like are going to be beneficial to people right now, and stuff they can do at home. So hopefully it's helping.
I think that they're phenomenal videos. I have been trying to catch them whenever I can. Just so that you guys know, Laura is actually part of our big massive giveaway that we're doing. She's giving away the Flow, which is, I'll let you talk. Actually, I'm going to let you talk about it. What is the Flow?
So the Flow treatment is a new treatment that I'm doing, and it's a 90-minute, basically like a deep tissue massage, but for your face. And so we're releasing all of the connective tissue and working on increasing the lymphatic flow, and then using facial reflexology to add that additional healing benefit.
Yeah, so one lucky winner is going to receive all of the things we're giving away, which includes the Flow that she just explained. I wish that I could win this package. So, and that ends on Friday. So for anybody watching right now or any of you on today, that giveaway is ending on Friday. You can still enter to win. There's no purchase necessary. And we're giving away $1,700 worth of wonderful, delicious back to you-ness for when this is all over. Well, Laura, thank you so much for all of your incredible knowledge and for taking the time out today to meet with us virtually.
Thank you.
How can people best? Oh no, I'm so glad you came on. How can people best connect with you if they want to learn more?
So following us on social media is always great. We're on Facebook as Skin Narrative, and then on Instagram we're at skin_narrative_Tucson, or you can just look up Skin Narrative. We're, I think, the only one with that name. So you can find us on there, but then you can also look at our website, which is skinnarrative.com. I have a lot of great information on there, and continually trying to upload different blogs and stuff like that as well. So find us on there. If you have any questions, you can always message me. I try to be as prompt as I can in responding, which has been pretty quick lately. So.
And you were talking about a course, so that's on your website as well?
That's on the website as well. And so that's an online course that gives you access to all of the video instruction for how to do both gua sha and facial reflexology at home, and it includes all of the tools that you need. And so it's a great way to, you know, keep your self-care going, or, you know, get started on self-care rituals like that.
It sounds amazing. Okay, so I will put all of those links that you just described to us and gave us the information for in the information above this video. So please make sure that you all go check them out. And if you want to know more about what we're doing here at REfashiond Magazine or at Fleur de Lis Photography, make sure to like and follow our pages, and you can sign up for our email series, The 7 Ways to Upgrade Your Marketing. I'll put that link in the comments below as well. And out of pure necessity, in order to get these videos onto my website, because remember I talked about I don't really do video anymore, or not anymore, I never did. I shied away from the video. So now that we're, what is that, the necessity, I can't think of the saying. Anyway, so I had to create this ability to make videos and do all of this. So I now have a YouTube channel. So feel free to check out
yay.
videos for this there as well. I'm like, I don't know how to get these videos on the blog. I guess I have to create a new channel. So you can find all of the past ones there, and this one will be up too as well soon. Excuse me. And and that's refashionmagazine.com or fdlphoto.com, and you can find us on Instagram or on Facebook at the same names. Thank you everyone who joined us today. Take care of yourself, stay healthy. Gosh, I can't speak today. Please stay healthy. Keep diving into your business. You know what it is? It's because you relaxed my mouth and now it doesn't work.
Yep, exactly.
now it's all kicking in and I can't speak. Everybody stay safe, and I hope that I actually get to hug you all soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.